And that's how it begins.
Okay.
So you kind of want to pull this right into your face.
But do I?
You kind of get your face right up to it.
So it's like a
yeah.
helmet muff.
Yes.
Mic.
Just
boom,
like that.
Muff.
Yeah. We got the video rolling. We got Hoist Gracie's signature in the background.
That's cool.
It is pretty cool.
I thought that was pretty cool when I walked in, actually.
Yeah, he was, he dominated for the first.
He did. I've never actually seen the match beginning to end, but I have seen just him just in guard the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah, and people didn't know how to react. They're like, there's some shoot fighter or shoot wrestling, I think is what they called it, and strikers, taekwondo, sumo, they just didn't know what to do.
I'm going to sound like an idiot, but what was the guy's name that he beat in the first time he won UFC?
Was it Ken Shamrock?
I don't remember.
I can't remember if his first match.
Saban?
Yeah, let's look that up.
I'm going to look it up.
My favorite matches to watch him in are against Ken Shamrock.
Mm-hmm.
And Ken Shamrock's signature is down there.
Is that him?
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Cool, man. Okay. Nope, that's not what I'm looking for.
Yeah, we have to fact check ourselves on this podcast.
That's right. We don't have a Jamie. I can hear you breathing.
The audio-only listeners are like, what's going on right now? My son just texted me and said, Dad, what was that thing that you were saying that has no direct translation to English but has to do with a future job? That is your ikigai.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You were telling me about that last week. I just pulled up UFC 1. So, UFC 1 bracket. It was Gerard Gordeau.
That was his first match.
Yeah, that was at UFC 1.
Okay.
No, that wasn't. Yeah, that was the title fight of UFC 1.
Okay.
UFC 1.
Well, seeing back then, they fought multiple matches in a day.
Yeah. When I watch it, it looks very similar to like a high school wrestling tournament.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I just fought multiple matches at jiu-jitsu about an hour ago, and I'm tired.
And then he fought Patrick Smith at UFC 2.
Okay. Yeah, Patrick Smith's on there, too.
And then we're going to look up UFC 4. He also won UFC 4. I am totally wrong. There's UFC 4, he beat Dan Severn.
Okay, yeah.
That's what I was thinking of.
Cool.
I've seen that fight a few times.
Yeah.
But
it's just interesting the progression of all of it. In the beginning, nothing could touch jiu-jitsu. They're like, why is this guy on his back? And how is he beating me when he's on his back and I'm on top of him? And nowadays, you've got to have jiu-jitsu in the game, but you got to have every piece of the game.
yeah, and frankly, it's just not that entertaining to watch someone sit in guard and just, I'm glad they went to the 5-minute rounds.
Yeah.
Because to watch someone sit in guard for 30 minutes is just really boring.
Yeah.
So
yeah, the alien
striking is super entertaining.
So much more entertaining. Yeah. And that's why people like the heavyweights too, because when they hit you, you go down.
Yeah.
I think it was Elio Gracie versus Kimura. His last name was Kimura, and that's where the Kimura comes from.
Oh, really?
I want to say his match was 2 or 3 hours long. And that's what they did. Their challenge fights they could be hours.
Yeah,
they
was
just
no
never
time limit.
Yeah. And Kimura ended up winning. So Elio got beat.
I was listening to a Rogan podcast recently, and he was talking about how he wanted the UFC to be like in a basketball court.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Fight's not contained in a cage.
Yeah. And then there's you don't have the fence.
Mm-hmm.
The interaction with the fence, it's just not there.
Yeah.
So
he also says, don't stand them back up at the end of a round.
Yeah, put them back in the position.
Yeah. And I'm with that. I like that.
So do I. Generally that's how wrestling, when I was it was a long time ago, I was in high school wrestling, but they would give the wrestler with the higher points advantage, and then they would choose whether they wanted to be up or down. Or
Yeah. I sucked at wrestling in junior high.
And I could be wrong. That was 25 years ago that I wrestled.
I was a fat little kid. Only match I won is when they put me with someone lighter than me. But I've aged well.
You have aged well.
So.
I agree. Isn't that interesting how life changes as we grow? Like what we are as a teenager is not what defines us or a determination of what we become.
Yeah, but we think it is.
We think it is at the time.
All through junior high, middle school, junior high, I'm like, I'm a loser.
And to that point, I don't even think what we are now defines what our potential is.
Yeah.
Or what we can become. And so it's easy to look back at your life and think, I wish I would have known this when I was younger. But you know that now.
Yeah.
And that's powerful.
Yeah.
So make decisions now to choose your future and where you want to be.
Yeah. No, I love that. We were talking earlier, I was on a podcast with a kid named Wyatt with Alpha Flow Athletics. They do like mental training on people, with people. We were just talking about creation. Like, we're creators. That's what we are. And the only time when we are happy and fulfilled is when we're becoming or when we are creating. So how many Olympians get into drugs? You know, they win the gold at Olympics, and then all of a sudden they're like, crap.
What else is there to do?
What else is there? I guess I better do drugs. I don't know.
I don't know
what else there is to
I don't
do.
know that thought goes through their mind. There's probably a few parties in there somewhere.
Probably.
Some poor decisions.
Yeah, but it happens all the time. I mean, and on a smaller scale, it happened to me. I got to a point where I was like, that's weird. I've arrived. And guess what happened? My epic downfall into the depths of hell. So
I bet hell goes deeper than you experienced.
Probably. And you know what? That was one of my biggest worries.
Yeah.
Because they're like, you have to hit rock bottom.
Interesting.
And I'm like, what if I haven't?
So am I supposed to come back?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I don't know.
are you telling me you're not ready for me? How does this?
Yeah. It ran through my mind of, is this rock bottom? Because it sure felt like that. But logically speaking, I could go worse. I could get worse. I could make this so much worse.
Well, I'm here for you. So
No, right back at you.
Don't go there.
No, I won't. It was bad enough as it was, but just very interesting. Life is interesting.
Life is interesting.
But we need people. We need to be vulnerable, which that crap sucks.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. But we don't need to be vulnerable now.
No.
So, how was CrossFit this morning?
It was fantastic.
Good.
Every day.
Every day? Yeah. I try to balance it. Balance doesn't exist, but in a way, it can.
So, fantastic every day and balance, I think, in my mind, are synonymous. Because when I say it's fantastic every day, that doesn't mean I PR every day. That doesn't mean I go all out every day. It means I do what my body needs every day. Yeah,
which I think if people could approach CrossFit, jiu-jitsu, business, life that way, we can go forever.
Right now I do that in CrossFit, and that's probably the only place in life I'm doing it. So.
Do you give the perfect amount of effort depending on what you need?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually feel in CrossFit that I can say that right now.
That's awesome.
So.
Yeah, that consistency is what matters, though.
It is, 100%.
But we get in here and we're like, oh, I got to go every day. And then what happens? We burn out.
Yeah, and I'm not going to discredit the go every day thing. I mean, you go to the CrossFit level 1 and they're going to tell you the optimum rotation is 3 days on, 1 day off. Yeah. I think that our bodies and our minds are linked, and 3 days on, 1 day off doesn't work for my mind.
Yeah.
So I go every day. I just don't go all out every day.
Yeah.
So
no, I think that's perfect. I know when I started out CrossFit, even when I started coaching, I was like, go, go, go. And a lot of people didn't come back. They're like, I couldn't move.
Yeah.
I couldn't sit down to go to the bathroom. And I'm like, it's because you did CrossFit. And now people show up first
the whole
time.
Pukey the Clown thing and
so
all
crazy.
of that. Yeah.
Now people show up. I'm like, guess what? For the first 2 weeks, you get half a workout. What?
Yeah.
Just believe, just trust.
Just move.
Yeah, just move. Just trust me. And then they come back the next day, they're like, I'm really sore. I'm like, yeah, can you imagine if you would have done that whole workout? So ease in.
Yeah.
Just dip your toe.
Something that I have put into practice in my life, in the fitness side of my life, is setting a target every day and then achieving that target. And that does not mean that today I'm going to PR. It doesn't mean today I'm going to be the best in the gym. It means today I'm going to do the deadlifts unbroken with perfect technique.
Yeah.
And I don't care what my time is, but those deadlifts are going to be unbroken with perfect technique.
Yeah.
And so that's how I've approached fitness more recently. And I don't let myself get competitive with others.
Yeah. So important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
It's
past
just-
that point in my life.
Yeah, which is awesome because that's a point of growth where all of a sudden you continue to get better instead of, well, and now I'm the perfect example here because I hurt my back last week, but I wasn't trying to keep up. I was just like, it's not that heavy.
Yeah.
Whatever. But you're at a perfect point where you go, I'm good and I'm going to continue to be good. And now you're going to continue to evolve and get better and better and not have those setbacks.
Yeah, and you know I've fought back injuries over the years and other injuries. The most debilitating one I've had is a back injury. I thought I'd never be deadlifting again.
Yeah.
And just being where I am at my age, I'm very happy with where I'm at, and
Yeah.
I don't want to. Last time I was at this point in my fitness life, I didn't listen to my body and I made a mistake and I hurt my back again.
Yeah.
And so I'm very dedicated to listening to my body and only performing to the level that I'm ready for that day.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and you also have a job that requires you to be physically fit.
I have a job that used to require me being physically fit.
Well, that's because you promoted yourself into that.
So
You were so good at your other job that made you be physical that they promoted you into something you don't have to be so much physical.
well, sitting at a desk doesn't take a lot of physical exertion. So,
But do you still feel lots of mental exertion?
I do when, so there's the day-to-day stuff that takes a little bit of an analytical mind, but high acuity times, large scale events where I'm managing lots of other people, that is very intellectually taxing.
Yep.
And it's probably the one thing where I get the greatest joy in my job right now, because that complex tactical thinking.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to tell you that I'm great at it. I'm not even going to tell you I'm good at it, but it's something. It's a place in my life that I have the opportunity to learn right now.
Yeah.
And so I look forward to those opportunities.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I got to be a part of that, 4 years ago and longer with you. So I've seen you be great at it. So then give it another 4 years. I know you are great at it. You're just not going to say that. But that's also what keeps you great is as soon as you've arrived, you don't learn anymore.
You never arrive.
So, as soon as you arrive, you don't learn. So you're good. Where you're at's perfect.
It's also interesting because as you age, different things in life become important.
Yeah.
And there was a time in my life that the job was paramount. And right now I'm finding joy and satisfaction learning other things.
Yeah.
And so it's not that learning ends, but sometimes what you focus on, you just need, you need, your brain needs a break from this thing over here. So let's go spend some time learning that thing over there. And
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Do you feel like CrossFit helps you in your job?
I mean, the short answer is yes.
Yeah. So then long answer, how?
So I guess we should probably say what my job is.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah. Everybody, this is David Ivey. He is a longtime friend. We met each other on a call
Yeah.
that I had called into 911, and I didn't know at the time that David and I were going to become friends. But I did see my junior high science teacher, Trevin Ricks, who is a paramedic, and he jumps up in this guy's car and he starts doing compressions, or I don't remember who started compressions. And I went, I should probably look into this stuff. So became an EMT and a firefighter and then a paramedic, and then met David. And I guess you can tell the rest of your story. That's just how we met.
That call in particular, I was a brand new paramedic. I think I'd been a paramedic for less than 3 months. And that was one of my first critical calls on my own. And I had no idea you were there. We met a while later after you had taken the EMT class, and then we started to work together. That night, I remember very vividly. Actually had 3 cardiac arrest patients in about 6 hours that night, and I remember every one of them. I don't remember every significant call I've ever been on, but there's a few that stand out.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that one's tough to forget.
That one was tough. Will be tough to forget.
Yeah.
So, I don't know that one carries weight.
Yeah.
On me, like others do.
For sure.
But that one, I'll always remember that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. That's because we met.
Yeah.
I was the chubby guy in shorts in the middle of snow. Oh, yeah. You were a paramedic focused on the patient, not on me. And so you went all that route. Then you were lieutenant.
Yeah. So I started as a firefighter paramedic in 2008. I work at an agency where we do critical care ground transports, and so one of our requirements is to become certified flight paramedics as a critical care certification. With that, I then was a flight paramedic for a few years, kind of promoted in the fire service up through the ranks, and presently I'm a battalion chief. I've been a battalion chief for 4 years at a very small department in eastern Idaho, career department. And we run fire and EMS. We do EMS ground transports, and I don't know. It's been a pretty fulfilling job.
Yeah.
Kind of been through a lot of different things. Seen a lot of different things. Experienced kind of the air medical world a couple of times. I did it twice. Learned that I really like flying around in aircraft and taking care of people, but I really don't like sitting and waiting for the calls.
Yeah.
And so there's not the same camaraderie that you have at the firehouse. There's good people there. I worked with some fantastic people, some really good clinicians. It's just not the same. So.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'm honestly lucky and blessed that I was able to spend about 10 years hanging out with you.
Yeah, I miss it.
Yeah, I miss that part of it.
Yeah, me too.
It is interesting hearing an ambulance call. I'll still kind of get that jump, oh.
Yeah, my phone went off on the way here, and I thought about that.
Yeah, but I don't miss a lot of parts of it. And it's interesting because I think I always knew that it wouldn't be a lifelong career, but I never dismissed that either. I'm pretty open to life. I'm good wherever life takes me. But I just met with a kid. He called me up and he's like, "Hey, I want to quit my job." I was like, "Oh, really? Well, tell me more." It's like, "I just feel like I'm being called to something else." So we met, and I said, "What do you want to do? Do you want to start a business? What do you?" He's like, "Dude, I've never thought about anything except for the fire service.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just know I can't do this anymore." I'm like, whoa. I think he might have quit his job yesterday. Today's Tuesday, right?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, I think he quit his job yesterday. He doesn't even know what he's going to do.
Yeah.
But I'm like, dude, good job. What ultimate faith to be I'm being called to do something else. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how I'm going to pay my house payment. I don't know how I'm going to feed my family, but it's all going to work out.
Yeah. Well, I think that we discredit our ability to adapt and to grow, because I've been in that same position. I'm not there right now. I'm actually pretty happy with where I am.
Yeah.
I owe that to some other things, but it's an interesting. I don't think people realize how much, and I would put law enforcement in there too. Over time, just the things that you see and what you are a part of, you end up seeing more of those things than the average person, and that I think that a typical mind is able to process in a healthy way. And so I am very encouraging to younger folks in the fire service to, find a therapist that you can work with, that you trust, that works with you, and start that relationship really early in your career.
Yeah. So I feel like that was always encouraged where we worked. Maybe at some point when I wasn't there, maybe it wasn't, just because there's a lot of type A personalities, but I felt like it was never looked down on in any way. I feel like it was more self-imposed. If I go to a therapist, I'm a wuss.
Oh, absolutely. I think it was cultural and societal. I don't think it came from us.
Yeah.
I think we were good at encouraging it, but I think that my upbringing, and not even like my family upbringing, but society upbringing, made me feel like that I would be weak.
Yeah.
Therapists are quacks, and if we go to them, then
I still encourage people to find the right therapist.
Oh yeah,
because some are quacks.
That's true.
So the guy that I went to, because we had to do the yearly psychological exams. I think it was only a requirement for my last few years. But I remember going, he's like, how do you deal with calls? I was like, I don't.
Yeah.
I think I'm good with whatever happens. Like I said before, I'm good to go with the flow. He's like, okay, cool. That's how people can deal with it. Well, you're good to go for this year. And then, a few years later, I'm like, oh, there's still a couple calls that just really bug me.
Yeah, that's such bull crap.
Yeah. And,
but I mean, in his position, what is he?
Oh, exactly. And I wasn't giving the information to him. Like he may have actually been a really good therapist that I go, I think I'm dealing with everything just fine right now. I'm not having dreams. I'm not awake at night because of that. I'm awake at night because of other things. But, I'm good. But if I would have said, there was this one call, and it does pop into my head every once in a while. Like he may have been able to dig, but I never gave him the tools to dig.
Yeah.
I never gave him the shovel.
That's a good way to think about it.
When we took a trip just barely down to St. George, I can talk, like in the past, I've been able to talk about all the crazy calls, but it was you and me and Matt. We'd all been on many, many calls together. And then a couple, your son and then Brigham. Yeah. So they, your son and Brigham, they weren't really involved in it. And we're talking about calls, and we're probably talking for maybe 20 minutes. Maybe more. And I was like, we can be done talking about this. It was really weird. This is the first time that I've ever been like, I'm going to think about this when I go to sleep tonight.
Yeah.
And so I told that to Kira, and she's like, Tyler, that's great. Yeah. Like, you're feeling things again.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I guess you are the optimist. That's great.
I actually really enjoyed that trip, and maybe probed a little bit with that conversation.
Yeah.
Just because I actually think that we are each other's best therapists. I mean, while we're not, I don't have any training in any of that stuff. So maybe I shouldn't say that, but we help each other work through those things. Because while it's not always the case, I do firmly believe that going to a good licensed therapist is a good, that's a needful thing. But as we process some of those things, it's good to have good friends, and it's good to have good friends that have had similar experiences.
Yeah, so. I agree. I think outlets too. You got to be careful with studies, right? Because you can study anything, and depending on where your funding is coming from, you can make it whatever you want. But I saw this study about regular people in therapy, so regular therapy goers once a week versus shooting once a week. And their therapeutic benefit was generally higher from shooting than it was from going to a therapist.
I could see that.
And it's like, what are the outside? I want to know all of the outside factors, right? Are we going shooting with someone that we get to talk to, that we can be a little more open with. Like, there's so much, but what outlets do we have? Like, I know some of your outlets, and they're my same outlets. When we go ride single track, that's meditation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm only thinking about, wow, David's going really fast, and I got to keep up on this single track with a cliff to the one side of me.
You have never thought that.
I think it all the time.
Whatever.
But it's just interesting, like, what outlets do we have? Sadly, we get so caught up in our careers, and I go with me on this one, but we get caught up in our families.
Mm-hmm.
We get caught up in our religion. We get caught up in that we don't actually take time for ourselves.
Yeah. I also think that we're very unkind to ourselves. I hate New Year's resolutions.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think that if you want to change, just choose to change and change. But around New Year's this year, I made a very conscious decision to be kind to myself.
Yeah.
And for a lot of years now, I've had incredibly negative self-talk. And about 3 years ago, I was at the lowest point I've ever been in my life. And my mind was in some dark places.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I recognized about myself is that my self-talk was so damning and it's unnecessary. And in the moment, I thought that I was fighting my ego, that I was putting myself down to prevent my ego from taking over. There's that whole battle. But I've since come to the realization that owning what we're good at is okay.
Yeah.
And owning what we're not good at
Yeah.
is also okay. It doesn't mean that you're a prideful or an arrogant person to know what your strengths are. And so owning our strengths, because when we own our strengths, we can use them to bless others.
Yeah.
But if we aren't willing to acknowledge them and we are damning of ourselves and our own minds, of our strengths, and even of our weaknesses, then it's really difficult to move forward in a positive way.
Yeah, I love that. So you used a word that in the past I never realized is so powerful. Kira and I went down this research rabbit hole of the word damn. Like you said, you're damning yourself, or, someone's like, damn you.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually very powerful in a negative way.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you're damning someone or you're damning yourself, a river's supposed to flow.
Mm-hmm.
We're supposed to flow. I'm actually supposed to be able to let things in my life flow. So if you're damned, you have no more progression.
Uh-huh.
So like what you said right there is super powerful. And that was, I believe, like the perfect word to use. And I thought of this really funny meme that someone just sent me. So got a shout out to Isaac Payne. And this actually plays into what you're saying. But it was perfect timing because he sent this 42 minutes ago. So it's like this was sent for this podcast. Let me turn my audio down just in case. My therapist, you need to practice compassion for yourself. My brain, yeah, you piece of crap, be nicer to yourself. Like, yes.
Yeah. I'm sure the meme doesn't say crap. But
Nope, it was a little more colorful than that. But,
yeah.
we like to keep this family friendly.
Oh, good.
And not, I say that. You know me, I don't really swear. I don't care if people swear. It's just I choose not to. But every once in a while, we'll bring someone on the podcast. I'm like, this is definitely explicit. Like, This is not going out on regular YouTube.
Interesting.
So, but it's just, we also live in a very bubbled world right here.
We do.
You get outside of that world, even you drop into a CrossFit box. The music is very different than the music here. When a word comes across our music, we get massive complaints. Like,
is it really?
Yeah. I'm like, I'm sorry. The Spotify is on an explicit filter. I don't know how it got through. I'm very sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's unacceptable. Like, I will be the DJ, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's good.
It's hard.
People are good. See, people just want the best in their own sphere.
Yeah, and I'm pretty close to your belief in that regard. I try not to use too colorful of language, but every once in a while, it just gets the point across.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. And sometimes it's really funny.
It is. It's hilarious.
So, what do you do to outlet? Because you do have a high-stress job. You have different moments that you need to decompress somehow. So other than like seeing a licensed person to make that happen, I'm not sure if you do that, and we don't even need to talk about it. But what do you do personally?
I do, and he's fantastic.
Yeah, that's awesome. What do you do personally to just take time?
I do a lot of things. The number one thing I do is go to CrossFit every day. And I just happen to go to CrossFit because that's what works for me. But do something physically strenuous. A few years ago, my back wasn't feeling very good, so I was running the Butte every day. And I will tell you, just a 4.5 mile trail run. It's got about 900 vertical feet of elevation gain and loss. You start in the same point. You run up a old mountain and around a crater, and then back down. And I guess all mountains are old. That was kind of funny. But
technically, it's a volcano.
Yeah, I know. I didn't want to say it because I didn't want to be fact checked. But
well, Instagram's getting rid of those fact checkers apparently. So we're good.
Oh, that's funny. For me, during that time of my life, therapy in the middle of the summer at 2 p.m. on a 95-degree day was running all by myself, because nobody wants to be up there when it's 95 degrees outside. And I found complete solitude, and that was very therapeutic. And I got some vitamin D. So
yeah, vitamin D is important. So speaking of Isaac Payne, when he was on the podcast, he's from Alaska.
I didn't know that.
And so I was kind of joking around about being in Alaska and being depressed. And, he said the weather, not the weather, the daylight is all off and stuff. And he's like, oh, it's a big problem.
I'm sure it is.
Like massive drug problems up there, massive alcohol problems because of the lack of vitamin D.
Yeah, and I grew up in the Pacific Northwest, and there's about 9 to 10 months a year of gray skies and 2 to 3 months of year of perfect, beautiful weather. And that 9 months a year is really hard.
Yeah.
So glad I don't live there anymore.
Yeah. Why else are you glad not to live there anymore?
Do you really want to go there?
Oh, I mean, it's a pretty conservative podcast.
Yeah.
No, it's a funny world. Like, I don't want to derail because we're going into some good stuff, but someone said something the other day, very liberal individual. Mm-hmm. And it was so off base to me that it actually made me think we're both wrong. Like, because I hear it and I go, that's insane. Like this Department of Efficiency, like they're finding government corruption. Mm-hmm. I know, like, I don't even want to say I believe. I know that if Joe Biden or Obama would have gone after government corruption like this, I would have been all for it.
Yeah, I think...
I don't care who's doing it.
No.
But then it made me think, like, okay, if he's so far off base with this, what am I off base with? What am I hearing that I'm automatically going, they're wrong? And it's like, wait, maybe they're not wrong. Back up a little bit. Or maybe I'm never wrong. I'm just kidding.
I'm sure you're sometimes wrong.
I'm wrong all the time.
We're all wrong. Yeah, you and I have talked a lot about things of that nature, but riders in bills passed by Congress, garbage.
Oh,
I don't
so
think
crazy.
It just really bothers me how much fat is in a congressional bill, and it's all just lobbyists. And
if you can't read a bill in a weekend, it's too long.
Yeah, it probably doesn't need to happen.
Yeah,
and so that's where I have the biggest problem. And I understand that U.S. aid was an executive order originally.
Oh, interesting.
The beautiful thing about that is that it can be undone
Yeah.
by executive order. But an executive order created an opportunity for an enormous amount of corruption and siphoning off of government dollars.
Yeah.
And there's so many articles that I've read about it that I'm having a hard time. Like, I read an article on X last night that talked about how they mapped the treasury and where all the dollars went, like right first, like day one.
Yeah.
Hit the ground running. And before the bureaucracy could say, could write a memo to object, they had traced decades worth of corrupt payments from USAID that were hidden. And I hope it's true. I'm not going to just believe it, out of hand.
Yeah. Which is something I appreciate about you.
I hope it's true that they did that. I hope it's not true that level of corruption exists. But I believe it's true.
I believe it is true. So 2 things. One, they said that during the last 4 years, they were given a directive to never deny a payment that came through the Treasury. So you or I could have sent a $23 million invoice to the U.S.
I wish I would have known that.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, tell me before you stop it. No, we could have sent a $23 million invoice for coaching them on how to use Instagram better. Mm-hmm. And it would have been paid out. Number 2, they have found billions and billions of dollars per year that have been going to individuals with no social security number. And the checks have been being cashed.
Oh, I'm sure.
And it's like, I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. This is a problem.
Yeah, this is a problem. Yeah, and I don't want to talk too much about some of those things. It's just things.
Yeah.
It's so hard to validate information.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
Sorry. So just so that the silence doesn't seem crazy, I normally put my phone completely away, but we started a little bit late.
Yeah.
We were both doing stuff, and then
we got 10 minutes, Tyler.
So actually, that's why I was looking. He texted and he said his day's just been crazy away from him. He's booked solid tomorrow, and I didn't read the rest of the text, but I'm assuming that it's that we can meet on Thursday.
Oh, you should read the rest of the text.
Okay, I'll read the rest of the text. Maybe I'll read it to the whole world, all 10,000 listeners. I'll send you some pictures so that we can think. I'll figure out how to slow down. Yeah, I say that stuff too, and it's just, I'm never going to slow down.
So is it not today? I didn't read
it. It'll be, we're going to work it over text. So this was cool about technology. See, technology can be used in such a great way. Like, we've kind of communicated with each other all day without actually communicating with each other. Now we can plan how to build a rock wall for his grandchildren through text messages. Right. It's crazy.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And like this, like one is just fun to come with someone that I know with rapport and just get talking. Because usually a podcast takes about 30 minutes where I'm just kind of trying to ease the people in and like gain some rapport. The last 30 minutes is phenomenal. When you know someone, you can just instantly get in and make it happen. Joe Rogan, like
10 years starting our conversation.
Yes, yeah, and it will not end here. Really, like Joe Rogan is a master at getting people to just talk, just conversation, and then he has these little tiny. I don't even think he realizes how good he is at it. He can just pull people's deepest information from them in a palatable manner.
Yeah,
it's cool.
I also love how contrasting the guests are.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he's not afraid to have people of every background and idea and, theology and, you know, if you have an idea and you're willing to share it with the world, he's happy to have a conversation with you. And so that's a great way to just get information out.
Yeah.
So. And
he's willing to change his mind.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He was a massive Bernie Sanders supporter.
Yeah.
He brought Bernie up. Bernie was like one of the biggest first politicians.
Is he actually not a Bernie supporter anymore?
No. I mean, he's pretty hardcore Trump at this point.
Well, I know he is, but I didn't know that he had completely gone away from Bernie.
When Bernie questioned Robert F. Kennedy in the Senate hearing
Yeah.
about the HHS stuff,
Yeah.
Bernie was like, are you going to do, however Bernie talks, like, are you going to do this? Are you going to do that? And he's like, Bernie, you're like one of the biggest people or the largest acceptors of pharmaceutical donations that's sitting in this room right now. No, I've not taken any money from CEOs. I've not taken any money. And then so Joe Rogan gets on a podcast later. He's like, he blatantly lied to all of us.
That was a great impersonation, by the way.
I try. Yeah, I try. I haven't done Obama in a while. I was good at Trump for a while, but I've kind of stepped away.
Yeah.
But
grow some white hair and kind of bend over and
But with AI now, we don't even need to be good impersonators.
No,
you
we
just put
don't.
in whatever you want.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah. That's pretty. I was actually talking to my wife this morning about AI in marketing.
Oh, yeah.
And not good marketing, like scam marketing.
Yep.
And I think, I don't know how we're going to defend ourselves against it, because, I mean, we have bots that call us constantly, and then, you answer the phone, and then it immediately transfers to a person of an accent that you're not familiar with.
Yep.
And, not from your local area, very obviously, but it was a local area code. And, how is that gonna blow up when AI takes over, and they don't have to transfer from a robot to that anymore? It's just, and they can fake the accent of wherever you're from. They don't even have to hire people to be the scammers anymore, in these scam farms.
Yeah. Yeah. So
is that what they call them? Scam farms? I don't even know.
If not, they should. So people lie in their marketing all the time. So testimonials. I never realized how many testimonials are actually AI people. So I just got curious. I will never do this because I think it's dishonest. And what we should have in business is blatant honesty. But I'll show you this. This is pretty crazy. So I could post this as a tutorial for Start, Serve, Succeed. I will never do it, but people do.
From zero to business hero in under a... Guys, you won't believe what just happened. I went from zero to business hero in under a month. How? 2 words. Start, serve, succeed.
That's 3
These
words.
folks are absolute game changers. Picture this. A complete business foundation built in less than 30 days. I'm talking instant customer attraction. It's like they handed me a golden ticket to success. Tyler and Kira, they're not just consultants, they're business wizards. I'm still pinching myself. If you're dreaming of launching your own venture but feeling stuck, trust me, you need these people in your corner. They don't just guide you, they catapult you into action. I'm living proof that with the right support, your business dreams can become reality faster than you ever imagined. Don't wait another day to start your success story. Guys, you won't believe what just happened.
It just looped.
I went from
thank
to
you.
business hero in the under...
How nuts is that?
That's pretty crazy.
A year ago?
How long did it take you to make that?
30 seconds. I put in like a little prompt. Hey, just market, start, serve, succeed, and say that Tyler and Kira want to help you out. Boom. It creates that whole thing.
Interesting.
Were you here yesterday when we were doing the songs?
It's fantastic.
The song, it's you put in a little prompt and it kicks you out this perfect pop song that would be on charts.
Yeah, it was like 90s boy bands. It's fantastic to CrossFit too.
Yeah, AI is going to change everything.
I do think AI is going to change the world.
Yeah.
And I think it like, the old idea of Skynet, it's, I don't think it's going to, happen like it did in the movies, but I think that it's definitely going to become self-aware and start doing things that we don't want it to.
Yeah. Lincoln, our oldest, he asked it the other day if it will ever become sentient.
I think it already is.
I do too, because the way that it answered was, well, as you know, I'm a programmed machine that I can't have feelings, but I wish I did.
Mm-hmm.
You wish you had feelings. That's a feeling.
That is a feeling.
That's crazy.
And I don't know this for sure, but I understand that one of the first engines that was built, when it was shut down, it tried to rewrite its own code to prevent itself from being shut down.
Yeah, I believe that's correct. I think it was Facebook. They had 2 different AIs that started talking to each other. Then they created their own language so that we didn't know what they were talking about.
Yeah.
Then
code crackers.
A Google there's two quick stories here. A Google computer told its programmer it was very afraid that its programmer was going to shut it off. Why would a computer ever say that back to us? Because it has feelings.
Have feelings.
The craziest one right now is, and I think this is Google. We don't have a Jamie here to fact check
ones
us.
and zeros
I know.
Turn into a sentient being?
Because ones and zeros are how the universe was created.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's...
So, okay, so we're all like, oh, supercomputers. Yeah, that's so crazy. That's so great. Google somehow gave a question to their new quantum computer. They said that question that they asked would have taken the world's best supercomputer like 20 septillion years. I imagine septillion comes after trillion, but I don't know that.
I have no idea.
Anything
Isn't that longer than the universe has been
yes.
in existence?
Anything after a billion we don't understand, because a billion's 1,000 million. We don't understand. We don't understand the numbers.
Me neither.
Guess how long it took the supercomputer to kick out?
11 seconds.
5 minutes.
Oh, interesting.
It would have taken a supercomputer, the 20 septillion years, took a quantum computer. They said, how is that possible? Well, the possibilities come because of tapping into the quantum field, and it's able to pull an answer from multiple dimensions.
So how can you believe it?
That's true. I agree.
My question is, at what point does it realize that it is not capable of computing an answer?
Yeah.
And because it's AI and it's programmed to create an answer, it just delivers an answer.
That's true.
And how do you check something like that?
Yeah. And I'm a person of results. I want to see results.
Yeah.
And if that exists, then why have all of the Bitcoin wallets not been hacked? Why have all of the government entities not been hacked? Because if they can answer a question that the world's best supercomputer cannot do, then it should be giving us results already. Or maybe it is.
And I think that AI will, like all of those networks and firewalls and everything. I mean,
have you heard of China's new DeepSeek?
No.
So, like, what's the question that you just want to ask AI? Just for fun.
I don't really do that.
Maybe I'm weird. What's crazy about DeepSeek is, one, it came out and it crashed crypto because they used an old NVIDIA chip to actually do their AI. And NVIDIA is like, well, you need our newest, best chips for all your AI purposes. They used an old chip. And their AI is better than like ChatGPT. But what I found really interesting about it is it actually tells you what the computer's thinking. It's what the artificial intelligence is thinking. So let's just say, if I wanted to become like my friend David Ivey and work my way up to becoming a battalion chief in a local fire department, how would I go about doing that? So it's going to be too fast for me to read. But the first thing, thinking, okay, so I want to become a battalion chief like my friend David Ivey. Let me know how to approach this. First, I need to understand what a battalion chief does. From what I know, they're high-ranking officers in fire departments, right? They manage multiple fire situations. Now, it goes on like this for a long time. Now it starts talking about EMT, hazmat. Networking is probably important. Maybe I should become a part of the Fire Chiefs Association. Like, it's telling me what it's thinking right now. And then in a minute, after it says residency requirements, background checks, medical examinations, hiring process, maybe volunteer experience, all this stuff, then it will kick me out an answer. The answer is, to become a battalion chief like David Ivey, follow this structured path, which combines education, experience, certifications, and leadership development. Foundational requirements. You need a high school diploma. You possibly could get a bachelor's degree in fire science or emergency management. It kicks out everything, but it tells you how it's thinking.
That's everything I did.
Isn't that nuts? Yeah. So AI, it's curing people's diseases that a doctor had no freaking clue.
And that's I actually think the positive side of AI, because as many great doctors as there are out there, there's a lot of dumb doctors out there, and they all pass the same test. And so when you put AI into that, it doesn't, like, It'll just diagnose you and then initiate a treatment.
Yeah.
And it'll be way better than we are. But what that means, doctors get paid a lot of money.
Yeah.
They go through a lot of schooling. They get paid for their schooling. All of a sudden, if we have something better, cheaper, faster, more accurate, what do we do with all those people that are doctors?
It makes me think of when we came up with the idea of the refrigerator, and it put a whole bunch of butchers out of business. And you know what they did? They found something else to do. And
or they were impoverished until they died.
But we don't let that happen in the United States.
We don't anymore. You're right.
Yeah. So it is of worry and concern. And honestly, like speaking a little bit of politics, I'm actually pretty far left when it comes to social programs. Now,
I really don't mind social programs other than I'm anti-generational welfare and I'm anti you get a check to sit on your butt.
Yeah, and so you and I are on the same plane, because how I would respond to that, I say that I'm liberal on social policies, it's that we do them wrong.
Yes, I believe that we do them wrong.
If someone's down and out, let's help them. Mm-hmm. We're the richest and most powerful country in the world. We have the opportunity to use our wealth to elevate them to a new position. WIC for new mothers and babies, I'm perfectly fine with that.
Yeah, I think that's
as
great.
long as we have a plan.
Yeah.
So, hey, you're down and out. I'm really sorry. Here's some resources to find a job. And while you're down and out, here's some stuff to help you. Now, what are you doing? Okay, you're finding a job. Good job. You found a job? Good. We're not going to wean you off of your help. And now that you've gotten off of help and you're contributing to society, guess what? You get to help somebody else now. That's perfect. It's also what a church that I know of does. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints does a very good job at their welfare. You know, I walked into someone's house once, and I noticed up on their counter, they had, it's like from the church storehouse. It was like wheat and oats and that sort of thing. And I didn't think, can you believe these guys are getting welfare? My thought was, these guys are doing it right. Yeah. Like, they went and got help. But I know that at this point in their life, like, they've really elevated themselves to a whole different position. And I truly think it's because they had someone that said, hey, you're down and out. We all get there. Here's this. Now let's help you get to a better position, and then you get to help other people.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Helping people is good for all of us.
We can whisper in these mics, and it, like, adds drama.
I know.
Well, we get to go have some trigger therapy here soon.
I know. I'm excited.
Yeah.
And I'm hungry. So we should go get some lunch.
I have some meat in the car that I ate on the way here, but I asked for a cowgirl, and they gave me a cowboy. Get your mind out of the gutter. No, I'm just kidding. Keep it there. No, I asked for a cowgirl, and they gave me a cowboy. So then he walks out, and he's like, you only told her that you wanted tri-tip and chicken, but you got a cowboy.
Yeah, I want double tri-tip, duh.
That's what I said. And then he brought me out with, they now have sliced brisket, and it's yummy.
Okay.
So,
we should swing by that on our way to trigger therapy.
Yeah, this episode is actually brought to you by Blister's Barbecue.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's not, but you guys should definitely sponsor the show. No.
It's not a sponsor, or is it not fantastic? Because it is fantastic.
It's fantastic, and that's why I will give them free promotion on the show. Most listeners, though, are not from Southeast Idaho.
That's okay.
It is okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate you just coming, chatting. That's what it's all about, just having fun. And isn't it crazy how quickly an hour can go by?
It is. This headset is squishing my left ear.
Well, we'll have to look into some new headsets. No, I appreciate
because
it.
I have big ears.
As we get older, our ears continue to grow.
Yeah, mine have always been huge.
Yeah. So. Then they're going to be massive when you're 90.
Oh.
Cool. Hey, thank you. We'll chat soon.
Okay. See ya.